In this video, I ranked the scariest creepypastas. Okay, I actually ranked the ones that I knew anything at all about, and some of them were even a stretch, so I brought a horror friend of mine, Kwote, on with me to rank them. Turns out he knew even less than me, so it was kind of fun stumbling through explanations. This was streamed live on twitch.tv/Kwote, where I'll actually be live tonight. If you enjoyed this video, this big card at the end will take you to another one like it. And did you know that only 20% of y'all are subscribed with notifications on? If you sub and hit the bell icon, you'll never miss an upload, and you can always undo it later. Anyways, enjoy this video. It's funny you should mention that the chat's starting a cult, because we have like the top tier cult leader with us today. Hi, Kwote.
What if I told you Jesus was the original vor fetish?
Don't. This is my friend Kwote, renowned cult leader and VTuber. Nobody believes me when I say I know them.
Really?
Not even like when I say that I am a VTuber, just, oh yeah, I know some VTubers. They're like, shut the fuck up. No, you don't. 5 tiers, irredeemable, dog shit. Can't say a good thing about it. See me after class? There's something here. Needs work. Okay. Either conceptually or just what I generally remember about the creepypasta. I almost said fanfic. That would have been embarrassing. Mid, perhaps it was original in its time, but that doesn't make the writing terribly good.
It has not withstood the test of time.
Something like that. Scary. Some of these, like, that might have actually given you a spook. Peak is just, like, the best shit ever. Like, fucking, this shit, like, I'm whipped at the time.
I'm looking at the list, and there are definitely some that at the time I was like, oh.
Because we're predisposed to rate these negatively, because we look at them in hindsight. Let's start off with one I consider to be mid with redeeming qualities. Are you familiar with the lost episode of SpongeBob? This beauty over here.
Vaguely familiar with it. There was a creepypasta that came out when I was kind of like moved past the whole creepypasta thing.
It kind of was the genre pioneer. All these different lost episode creepypastas, right? In it, Squidward, kills himself. That's like the whole plot. Look at how sad he is.
Completely honest, if I had his neighbors...
I mean, yeah, it's not exactly an easy gig.
You've got SpongeBob on one side, it's Patrick on the other. He's just like, Squidward, are you home? No, Patrick, I'm not.
Well, that was the audio descriptive. So there are a few like bits adjacent to this creepypasta that I wanted to bring it up for me. Its influence and like what it set the groundwork for as far as other creepypastas, and also some of the memes that have come out about it. This.
Oh God,
guys, it's okay. Guys, he's fine. Look at him. He's having a good time. Like some decade after the fact, this visual, the one everybody knows, was canonized in an actual episode of SpongeBob.
Wait, hold on. Wait a second. They actually canonized it?
Well, they obviously didn't make him kill himself, but they like directly reference the visual. I'm between scary and mid. Put it in scary with the caveat we can bump it down if we think we're putting better stuff in scary that this doesn't fit with. Now this one's a real classic. Have you ever heard of the arcade game Polybius?
That name is familiar.
Okay, so Polybius was an urban legend. It might even like predate the internet to some extent, that there was a game cabinet in like random bars across the states. When using it, like the player would get like headaches, flashes, and just general like psychological symptoms, like brainwashing shit. Either real or well fabricated evidence that Polybius might have existed in machine form at some point. I think the running like urban legend was that it was a part of MK Ultra.
Why did I know it was gonna lead back to fucking MK Ultra?
Y'all are so brain rotted. You hear a word that existed before Lemon Demon. Oh my fucking god! No way! It's fucking Lemon Demon!
What the fuck is a Lemon Demon?
He's a musical artist. He makes good stuff, but my chat is enthusiastic, we'll say.
And like I know that we were trying to look at this through the lens of just like, oh, as a kid would this be scary, but me having worked for the DOD for fucking 8 years, I'm like, it's way more effort than any government employee is gonna put into anything.
Oh yeah, I forgot you did that. Anyways, I think this is, with what you're saying, yeah, it's just not very believable with like understanding how inefficient the internals of the US government are.
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest. I think it could go into the scary category if they were like ARG elements to it as well, where it's like, people are going around, they're finding shit about it, and like the community like really created a whole fucking shebang about it. Sure, it would go in scary.
Oh, it has a cameo in a 9 Inch Nails music video. There's a VR game based off it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it at mid because that's all stuff that came after the original story.
What about the Russian sleep experiment?
Russian sleep experiment. Top 10 most popular creepypastas, right?
It's good.
I love like fucking Cold War era fuck shit. Like the idea that like to get a leg up on like the other side, both the Soviets and the Americans were like testing occult shit.
I mean, like, I'm gonna be completely honest. It's been a theme that runs throughout politics. It's like, I don't know, politicians tinkering with dark forces. Woo!
Yeah, like, what if I could get Azazel on my side? I think that'd be pretty good.
Sticks with you. It's one of those things where, like, you see that image, boom, instantly, you know, the Russian sleep experiment.
I just, like, love the way it's framed as, like, the Russians are trying to do something, like, almost scientific-based, and then they, like, get too far along with it, and just run into some shit no man, like, was ever supposed to be able to. I think it had us going on long enough of a tangent that it's peak.
Oh, absolutely. I would be a little bit upset if it wasn't peak.
This one, we have to be very careful. Jeff the Killer. Oh, another one of the most popular creepypastas of all time. But the consequences of this could follow us to places where we could be harmed because several of our friends, I will not name names, have admitted to being in love with this character as a younger folk. We might be stepping on some toes here. We have to be careful.
I'm gonna find out who it is, and I'm gonna shame the fuck out of them later.
Hey, you relax. Hey. I didn't say there was no good reason there.
Jeff is iconic in the creepypasta scene, and I think that would land him distinctly in scary. Don't think it's peak, but scary.
I need to clarify something for chat real quick. When I was saying good reason, I meant I was like fucking 11 when I had these thoughts. Just so we're on the same page, because Jeff the Killer is on the younger side. Those feelings did not last. I think the most interesting thing about Jeff the Killer to me is the fucking hunt for the original image behind his design. If I'm not mistaken, even if he's a slasher, Jeff the Killer's just some fucking dude. He's just a guy with a fucked up face.
Got turned into a chemical fire.
But listen, Michael Jackson got bleached and he looks scarier than him in the image, alright? Like, bro, if you are even like semi-competent with a gun, this kid's dead. At least there's like some supernatural slant to them, like Freddy Krueger, he goes in your fucking dreams. Like Jason, he's literally a force of nature. With Jeff the Killer, by the time I was in eighth grade freshman year, I could fucking take that punk.
In that same vein though, what about Chucky?
Yeah, I could fucking take Chucky, but he comes back. At least like there's some aspect of him that is supernatural. For me, it's a see me after class. Because I'm gonna fucking beat your ass after class, buddy. Because he's in my biology lesson and he's a prick.
I can't believe Kwote is the reason Jeff got bullied and he got bleach poured on his face and set on fire.
Bro, any ranged weapon, this dude is done. I'm gonna take it in a vacuum, because I did say earlier I wanted to like frame these more on how scared I was of it at the time. I like understand why I was scared. I'll put it in scary.
I saw this one talked about a lot, and I'm gonna be honest, I missed this one. Curious to hear about your experience with it. What about Sonic.exe?
Oh man, this was the right one to ask me about. This was my seminal creepypasta. So basically it goes like this. Kid picks up a copy of, no. Pretty sure he gets mailed a disc, a CD.
Oh wow, this is old. He gets mailed something. And it's not from Amazon.
It has a letter from his friend saying some shit like, don't play this, just throw it out.
Why would you mail it?
He decides to play it anyways, thinking it's just a normal copy of Sonic 1. Like, if you knew that, why do you need to play this weird version and not the version you've already played? Things start getting like weird from the beginning. Water started looking like hyper-realistic blood. Things just get weirder and weirder as it goes along. Sonic stops responding to his controls. Characters you couldn't play as in Sonic 1 start being the only playable characters, and in their levels, Sonic kills them until you get to the very end, and the image you see here is an artist's interpretation of Sonic.exe with the red eye pupils says, "I am God" on the screen.
That's it?
Yeah, it is irredeemable. It is that bad. All right, so Dead Bart, I know this one very tangentially, but it's another one of those like lost episodes that weren't like really, that were supposedly not played after the early seasons. I think like this, it was made at a point where people were starting to realize that it's a trend of those things.
I would definitely say see me after class. It seems like something that kind of like jumped on the bandwagon, and like it's the premise behind it has already been done. Go ahead and do the back rooms. I've had a discussion with Heavenly about the back rooms before.
So you feel like you have your thoughts organized ahead of time?
I mean, like sort of, kind of. It's the concept of the back rooms is something I'm gonna be real with you, I'm not very impressed by it.
Well, to be fair, it's a great Kwote song, streaming everywhere.
You completely threw me off my train of thought. Like, you just dynamited the bridge that it was going over.
So outside of my shameless plugging, how are you feeling about the concept? You said you weren't very impressed, and I'm curious.
I'm gonna talk about the back rooms. I'm gonna talk about the original back rooms. I'm not talking like the whole load of horse shit that has been tagged on to it. The original back rooms in of itself is, yes, if I encountered something like that, I'd be like, yeah, like there's a little bit of anxiety in those scenes.
Do we count the original back rooms as the monsters that were said to be in that level?
From what I understand is like like the original Backrooms didn't have any levels. It was just that.
How is it every time I see Cam, I hear about the fucking Backrooms? Heavenly's in chat. I'm gonna say mid.
I would agree with you. It's mid. I think the Backrooms in and of itself is a nifty concept that could have been expanded on in a better way, but I feel like a lot of people took it. It feels like they got a hold of it after they became disenfranchised with the SCP organization.
And you know, speaking of SCPs, the original SCP-173, you stop looking at it, it starts moving. Containment procedures, some motherfucker gotta be looking at this thing at all times. The SCP Foundation as a whole, I love. I've gotten lost for hours just like clicking random page and finding like crazy shit, like really, some not great, some fucking peak. I think the SCP-173 was compelling because the first SCP was with the implication that there was like hundreds of others.
Yeah, and I think it, you know, it lends itself in that same light that the Russian sleep experiment does, where it's that concept of there are things that look outside our, you know, little island of ignorance.
It's taken down a notch for me. There is tech for how, like, that a single person could feasibly survive this. You blink one eye at a time. I could take them. So I would give it high tier scary.
Yeah, it definitely sits in scary. If we're talking SCP as a whole, I would say peak, because SCP itself has continued to be relevant in a lot of ways. Let's talk about one that I'm not super familiar with. About Godzilla.
Godzilla, okay. I also have a very vague understanding of this. I just remember seeing this sprite as a kid and being genuinely freaked out by it, which hadn't really happened with pixel art. Like, but it's like, even now I can see how I found it genuinely unsettling. The gist is that this is the final form of like a corrupt monster and a first version of NES Godzilla. I think it's a cut above some of the other first video games of the time because A, it shows a much nicher game. B, there was real sprite work that went into like the design of this. Like, it felt more like an art project with design put into it, you know?
Yeah, from what I know of it, there's way more effort that went into it.
Yeah, especially by the standards of the time.
But as for like the story itself, I'm more familiar with the art than I am the story.
The art I find really compelling. Okay, there's a lot more lore to the NES Godzilla creepypasta than I'm realizing. There's a Wikipedia dedicated to just that.
Where the fuck is Nick Nocturne when we need him?
Yeah, that motherfucker, like, Jesus Christ. He's even a VTuber now. He can fucking pop up. I want to give it credit for how deep the lore seems to go. I want to put it in scary on effort alone. Scary may be the wrong moniker. If we're talking about the quality of it, it doesn't necessarily have to be the spooks. Maybe change this to solid?
Solid? Notable?
I'm gonna, okay, gang shit.
Okay, perfect. That works.
Godzilla, red guy in gang shit. I want to do Hero Brian. If you couldn't tell, that's Hero Brian.
Yeah.
He also showed up on my tier list of hottest Minecraft mobs. This is his second appearance on the tier list series. Hero Brian, like, had some of the strongest influence, maybe the most influence out of anything on this list. And, you know, Minecraft played into it for the longest time, where every update they'd say removed Hero Brian. As a kid, when I started playing Minecraft, I'm like, there's no way they'd lie about that. Like, it has to be, like, being added there by him. There's no way they'd let that be on there. There's no way.
Will agree with you. Even as, you know, like, when did Minecraft come out? Like, when did, like, full release hit?
Wait, you were a kid when Minecraft came out? Yes, what?
Hero Brian was one of those things where, like, you read it and you're kind of like, it's fucking silly.
The lore is goofy.
In the first couple nights where you're trying to figure your shit out, like, Minecraft is a horror game.
For people on the younger side playing Minecraft, it, like, was a compelling set of circumstances to believe he might be real.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was kind of the spawn of the, you know, like the lost games, or, you know, the corrupted games met its natural evolution.
Yeah, it felt like organic in how it formed. Kind of a collective effort of a community creating its own urban legend to scare the shit out of little kids. And its longevity is like, you cannot understate it. I say peak.
To a certain extent. Yeah, I would say peak as well, because Hero Brian is an entire phenomenon.
Unbeatable.
Speaking of phenomenons that, you know, had entire communities contribute to them, what about Slender Man? And in fact, Slender Man is also a basis for part of my own appearance. So, I mean...
Couldn't have guessed. I have a lot of fond memories of Slender Man, and I think, like, not of being scared of him. I was watching Slender Man based content into a lot of an older age than did any of these other creepypastas. Like Marble Hornets, a lot of, like, the series that were offshoots of it. It's become a rich storytelling tool.
Yeah, Slender Man, I think, was the first of a new era of cryptids that came from like the age of like technology and the information age and everything like that.
I think it's just hard to argue he's anything other than Peak. So I'm saying Peak. Are we agreed? Or
I would hard agree on Peak.
I think this one's a little nicher. So let's do the stairs in the woods. Are you aware at all of these ones?
Some of my favorite stories to listen to are like the 3-hour videos of I was a park ranger.
That's
and
exactly
I saw some weird things in the woods.
That's exactly one of the things. The stairs in the woods shit is more of an r/no sleep or original story. At least the one that I read. I like it as like a concept built off of Missing 411 actually substantiated things that we don't fucking understand how they happened in the way we found them. And I think the stories themselves, like in a vacuum, are pretty good. I'd put it in gang shit.
Yeah, I absolutely would. It's one of those things that it gets wrought in enough with strange real world things that happen that it's, you know, it's reached that level of notoriety.
Yeah, this one's a quickie. A lot of people have thought this was Candle Cove. That's not what it is. It's the Midnight Game. I don't know enough about Candle Cove. What, you familiar?
I love Candle Cove.
Honestly, forgot all the steps. It was just the only ritual one I listened to.
Oh wait, Midnight Game was a ritual?
It was like something like that. Like, let me find it again. I had the page up earlier. So Midnight Game. You might be thinking of the Midnight Man.
I'm gonna be honest. You said Midnight Game, and I thought Midnight Society from Are You Afraid of the Dog?
No, that's different. It must be exactly 12 a.m. when you perform the ritual. You'll need a candle, paper, a writing tool, matches or a lighter, salt, a wooden door, at least one drop of your blood. Don't fucking do this shit, guys. Not from like it's real sense, but like don't fucking draw your own blood. That's stupid. This is where the game begins. You must now lurk around your now completely dark house. Your goal is to avoid the Midnight Man at all costs until 3:33 a.m. because it's half 6:66. It's a bit cliche.
But I would say that like as a kid, that sort of story would terrify the fuck out of me. I wouldn't say I'm superstitious. I would even say I'm a skeptic. Becomes a bit too personal. And I'm just like, no. No.
I think the horror comes from, if you were to do this, how involved every step would be. Like, the amount of commitment and time it would take for you to get set up. I'm just saying, like, you might not even know if this one's fake because you'll just assume, oh, it's 3:33. I won. Didn't see him.
If we're talking about things that would legit or have legit fucking terrified me, I'd go with the rake.
The rake. Okay.
For whatever reason.
The photo's very well done.
Operates because like one of the things that sticks with me is the one instance of where like the guy wakes up like it's sitting on his bed and like there's nothing he can do. Like that sense of powerlessness like lurking in your house is like that preys on a very, very real fear that I think a lot of people have. Not only the violation of a sacred space of your domicile, but also, you know, time when you are most vulnerable.
Well, a lot of people saw the rake as like kind of a Slenderman knockoff, and he was used in a lot of Slender series as like a secondary antagonist. But to me, Slenderman is very supernatural. There is like almost something more cosmic to the horror he gives in you. The rake is much more of like a primal fear, like that harkens back to when humanity was not top dog and we had to be scared of being prey.
Definitely is notable enough to the point where you see that image and you can be like,
yeah, like it's just like good monster design. This one is actually kind of interesting. It was written as a creepypasta from what I understand. It's not really trying to present itself as a real horror. It's like Hypno's Lullaby, creepypasta that is a song in universe, plays into like what we know about Hypno as like a species, or it like invades dreams. It's very like psychologically and mentally involved in its power set, and it uses it to kidnap children.
It's a predatory Pokemon that preys on people. One of the original Pokemon where you read the description and it was like, hey, yo, that's fucked up.
I like Hypno's Lullaby in like the context that it's not trying to be real, expanding on like real Pokemon lore. But to me, it's like kind of mid in that game world, but more if it was just fucked up and dark and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Ash Ketchum's in a fucking coma, dude? I'm gonna say mid because I still respect those elements of it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Pokemon Lost Silver, just like to knock the two Pokemon ones out in a row. I don't remember this one as well, as well as I do some of the others. It's
you say Lost Silver? Or did you
Pokemon Lost Silver? It's technically called ... People just colloquially call it Lost Silver because it's easier. Leon wants me to put Tailsdoll in Peak because that shit fucked you up when you were 15. You were 15 when that fucked you up? Damn, you a little old for that.
Here's the thing, Kwote. Fear knows no age.
Be fair, dude, Slenderman had me fucking geeking like way past when it should have.
Most of these I have heard of, or I've at least run into, while delving the depths of the internet, horror and horror content. Lost Silver, I have never heard of.
I'm gonna put it in See Me After Class, because Sonic EXE is probably my least favorite creepypasta.
Now, if we're gonna stay on the Pokemon theme, we go ahead and, like the Lavender Town Syndrome.
Lavender Town Syndrome. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar, this creepypasta was rumors that in the original Japanese release of Pokemon Red and Green, I believe, music in Lavender Town where canonically in the game, a Pokemon graveyard, there were tones in the sound that supposedly would like cause headaches, cause like emotional distress, and in like the most dramatic versions of the story would actually like have kids like be harming or hurting themselves really bad sort of shit, dying. And there were like hoaxes that the waveforms of the Lavender Town theme, spectrograph of them, there was like the ghost sprite from the encounter in the actual Pokemon game, like unknown, that spelled out some crazy shit. Obviously the spectrograph shit wasn't real, and the thing itself wasn't real, but it was like a genuine rumor on the playground when I was a kid go around about the original haunted releases of Pokemon, alongside in the same breath that like was talking about how to secretly capture Mew 3.
The reason I'm familiar with, the Lavender Town Syndrome, I was in middle school when Red and Blue came out. It was one of those things where, because the context of Lavender Town has this, creepy, spooky place with all the ghost Pokemon, which, personally, I love.
Yeah, go
right
figure.
There. Nobody would have ever guessed. It's one of those things where, like, it's a Pokemon game. And, it's like, what did it do? Like, it gave you fucking migraines and, like,
it made you fucking crazy. Like, I think it's exactly what it needs to be. I think mid. Like, I wouldn't put it next to even Jeff the Killer, if I'm being honest. Like, it's classic, but it's not incredibly, like, well made.
It's no tour de force.
What is, incredible, like, I still hold to this day that this is, like, some of, like, the best shit a creepypasta's ever done. Ben Drowned.
Oh, my God. Ben Drowned is a whole just can of worms.
He's less a creepypasta and more an ARG. I remember when I read about it, came with fucking gameplay footage. I didn't know that, like, you could, like, mod that shit. And they were like, in the context of the story, they were saying like, just got a capture card, I'm gonna show you what it's looking like, so I'm not bullshitting. And then like exactly what it described happened. And I was like, oh my fucking god.
Goes and boots up Zelda so you too can be haunted.
It was so smart picking the creepiest like Legend of Zelda game in its default form. The titular character, Ben, is not even like a scary face like Jeff or like any of these other guys. It's just unsettling the way he looks at you. He's like a little freak.
He's just standing there. He looks like he would have like a soggy Cheeto in his hand, and you're just like, where did you get that soggy Cheeto from, Ben? He's just like, I've just had it here.
It's peak.
I see a lot of people asking for Smile Dog.
Smile Dog, classic. Probably to a lesser extent, but like a similar public legacy as Jeff the Killer and the hunt for its original image. As a creepy image you accidentally caught on camera, it's a little more unsettling because you don't know what's happening with the dog. Its form changes over time to just something more and more grotesque.
One of those things where I think the image itself has that level of distinctness, goes blow for blow the Russian sleep experiment. Your eyes may start to do like the funny thing.
Yeah, I don't like that very much. I think it has to go in gang shit.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put it right next to Jeff the Killer. Similar legacies. One had more impact, but the other I find more compelling. Tails Doll is not great. It's a cut above Sonic.exe. Bases itself a little more within game lore. Not super good. Tails Doll is a real character that you can unlock secretly. Niche Sonic game called Sonic Arc, or like Sonic Racing. And he's like an unlockable character like that's hidden, which is more than I can say for Sonic.exe.
I may get lit the fuck up for this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a horror story written by Sonic fans. I'm not expecting much.
Most Sonic plot lines are horror stories already.
Sonic fan art is horror stories already.
Hey, you take that the fuck back. You take that back. Wash yourself.
There's an angry nerd right now out there right now. It's like, what if I drew Cab inflated? What do you think of that?
The problem is I just can't put it on the same level as Irredeemable, as Sonic EXE. Like, it's not that. It's not as bad.
What's the context behind the Tails Doll?
Well, to be fair, like, the way you unlock it is very obfuscated in the game itself. And I've always found, like, how lifeless it is to be a little, like, unsettling on its own. And it's a pre-existing concept somebody built out the lore on. super robust way, but I can say I think they did a better job than whoever did Sonic.exe.
Can you read it without being in pain from like just like from what I understand, like the storytelling and the grammatical?
It'll hurt less.
So it'll hurt less and make you not want to commit violence. Unlike from what I understand,
I'll put it in irredeemable if that's how you feel, but
I have no strong feelings because I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of it.
By virtue of escaping a reputation as dog shit, I think it deserves to be given a extra credit work. No, maybe get its grade up to a C. Eyeless Jack. I think that image is simple but effective. Like, I think the image itself is very solid. It doesn't lean into like the really heavy blood or grotesqueness that some of these do. It is just a very uncanny, lifeless form that properly fucks with me,
Remind me of the context behind Eyeless Jack.
Eyeless Jack is a humanoid entity who removes the organs of his victims and eats them. Character's moniker comes from the fact he appears in a hoodie wearing a blue mask, no relation, open at the eye sockets, which though they are leaking black fluid are entirely empty. He has some Rake-esque features where some iterations of him have him leaning over a bed or like sitting at the foot of a bed over a sleeping victim. And the context of the story is a guy named Mitch. He moved in with his brother Edwin, and they hear like a tapping on the window, and then like he wakes up and he's in pain, and then he goes to the doctor and he says, "You somehow lost a kidney in the middle of the night." This dude is just like an organ harvester, and he's like real stealth at it. The concept that you could slowly have the organs removed from your body, you wouldn't wake up, you just wake up to it like being gone and slowly withering away because this dude's just like decided, yeah, I'm gonna have some fun with you, man. You fuck.
One day you wake up short of breath, you're missing a fucking lung.
I need at least one of those.
Stands on the level of like Ben Drown or Slender Man. I could say that he comes in swinging at the lesser end of gang shit, because yet again it's the concept of taboos, of the invasion of like a private space.
Put him slightly below the Rake. The reason I like the Rake is how visceral it is, like when you encounter him, because you can encounter him. Keep the fruit on. Jesus Christ, I'm always on the screen. What do you mean, guys? Get it? Because I'm fucking gay. 3 more. The last one's just a failed upload of the Godzilla image.
Is that lost at Disney?
Abandoned by Disney, I believe. If I recall correctly, it was the one where a guy traveled out to real abandoned Disney park of Animal Kingdom, right?
Wait, is that the one that had like the brain-eating bacteria or whatever that somebody got from like a log ride?
Yeah, it was like one that was on an island, I think. Photo negative Mickey or something. Wi-Fi connection on the island because he brought his laptop for some reason. There would be no like routers there, and it was like, it said something like turn back. I'm fuzzy on the details.
Is this Elon testing out Starlink? Like, I don't...
Nah, this was before that shit even existed. It's probably a more stable connection anyways, but... Photo negative Mickey is my boy, my son, my precious peak. Is that the same one? Photo negative Mickey, I might have picked the wrong image, because the one I'm thinking of, it was just like the mascots are still at the abandoned Disney park, and then like blood comes out of their eyes or some shit. That was mascot horror before FNAF.
One of the things is always with like Disney creepypastas or something like that, is it always...
Want to see my head come off? I'll put Mickey Mouse in mid. The smiling man?
Yeah.
I don't even think the dude who, the illustration's good, but I don't think that was made for the creepypasta. I don't remember a damn thing about this creepypasta. I almost called it a fanfic again.
I just don't know anything about the smiling man. Like, it doesn't register with me. It feels like it could just be like a mediocre urban legend instead of like, a notorious creepypasta.
I need to put it in See Me After Class, not because I found anything specifically wrong, but because I didn't read it and needed explained to me. Our last one is one I remember very well, called Username 666.
This one I'm familiar with the name of, but not the story behind it.
So it starts with a video uploaded by first name bunch of numbers user Nana825763. Went crazy viral at the time. Video is supposedly about what happened.
Gods in the abyss, 12 million views?
18. Like it was apparently over what happened when you went to the username 666 link on YouTube. This account is suspended, and it said that like if you refresh it enough times, eventually something messed up would come up.
Got it all in Japanese, so I mean, like, I would say messed up. I mean, like, that could go a bunch of different directions.
Center it around like Satan theming. that sort of thing.
You know, I was going a different route with that, but you know,
Being watched right now, pop up. Now they're all gone. It's all 666. The believability came from like, who on earth would do this many times? So like, maybe it could actually happen. Now everything's red.
oh no,
It's deteriorating.
you know, you're toying with things you shouldn't. And
This like graphic design for like something being like unsettling, like this is just well made. And this was back in the day when on YouTube you could edit your channel page this much. Apparently it was full of freaky ass videos.
I recognize that video.
Like it's just like a very competent artist putting together like aesthetically strong, unsettling, scary videos. And this was just in the days where I don't think people really had a concept of what that was, just like as a creative output. Yeah.
And it gives birth to something that may have not been the original intention. I think that is one of the stronger aspects of it, is because fear and the things that scare us are, you know, ultimately interpreted differently by everyone. It has that mutability to take on a life to its own.
I think like just they've gone on to do a lot of cool stuff, and this was like what originally put them on the map. I think it has to be at least in gang shit. Like I can't justify putting it any lower, because it's just like such a well executed little video, and it doesn't like, it's almost not a creepy pasta because it doesn't explain to you what's happening, text and saying if you do this thing will happen. It just does it. It shows it, and what comes up in like really like detailed fashion. Gang shit at least. I'll put it towards the top of gang shit because I just really like the way it's made.
I mean, 18 million other viewers would agree with you.
Hey, that's our final list. That was our last one. I don't think we did terrible here. I think this is a pretty acceptable list.
I feel like it's pretty acceptable. I mean, like, I feel like, you know, a lot of people expect us to go into dumpstering most things. Is there bad horror out there? Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on again, Cabal. I will leave you be.
Yeah, have a good one. I'm gonna go play Fortnite.
Did you know that if you're watching this on YouTube, you missed out on getting to be a part of the process as we figured out everything where we wanted it to be? It's a good time out here, man. It's a good community. You should really check it out. Come on. We'd love to have you. Twitch.tv/Kwote. Please come hang. I want more people to give me views. I think I like having those.